So today I'm joined by Todd Sloan. So Todd runs the Pizza and Property podcast. He's done over 270 episodes and interviewed some of Australia's best investors and really dialed deep into what they're doing, what's working and what's not working. And today I had a simple question for Todd. I want to know the three biggest things that you've picked up after interviewing 270 people on your show.
Now this was harder to really get my head around than I thought. I thought this would just be like easy as you can do this, but and there's so many different people, there's so many different takeaways. But I think the three biggest really, Sean, would mean to start with just doing it.
Yep.
Like it's this cliche Nike saying of like just do it, but seriously, the people that actually really get ahead, they don't overanalyze. They do their research, don't get me wrong, but they make sure that they actually take action.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you ever got stuck in that mode of just like kind of looking and never doing.
And I think that's sort of an element of speed. You know, the market's always moving. It's always moving up. It's always moving down. It's always moving in one direction or another. And
Absolutely.
I think like Warren Buffett puts it perfectly. I think his time in the market beats timing the market. It could be, was it Warren? Maybe it wasn't, but yeah.
I think it's him. I mean,
Yep.
any like wisdom backed saying is normally Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
Like,
So yeah, he's time in the market beats timing the market, and I think that's people that overanalyze things suffer from that. They might miss that run, and then buy in on the FOMO when things are going absolutely nuts. They're buying in at the top of the market because they've watched and waited for that proof of concept.
well, you've seen that Simon Sinek video about the golden circle, and he talks about like the early adopters and innovators, and then the laggers and the majority, the majority and then the laggers later on. And that's really seems to be how it works, I've noticed.
Yeah.
If you want moderate success in property, well then just wait until there's a proven concept, jump onto it, because more than likely, like, you'll still do okay out of it, but you're not going to do quite as well.
Yeah.
But there's been enough people that you feel safe, you feel comfortable to go, you know what, this is okay now. But the fact of it is, most of the time, that means that you're either at the end of the cycle or that specific thing is coming to an end.
Yeah.
So being able to actually take action on something when you find out about it, as long as your checks and balances all line up, that to me has been a big difference that I've seen over interviewing how many 270 people now.
It makes a lot of sense. Like, I've got a bit of an inside joke with a circle of friends of mine about the double on the double.
Double on the double, okay.
Double on the double. And the second double, the exponential growth of that is just insane. So say you buy something for 200,
Yep.
the 200 goes to 400, but then the double on the 400 is 800.
Yeah.
So like that double and the exponential, and that's where I think if you're ahead and just do it and get in early enough to a certain market or a certain segment, you see that full growth cycle. You're not just getting in on the tail section.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the first one's just do it, which I really agree with. Just get in there. Action sooner rather than later while doing your checks and balances,
Of course, yeah.
is so important. Now, number two
would have to be income. I think it's something that it's really not spoken about, just simply because it's not a magic bullet. It's not the magic beans that I think some people want to buy, but it's big part of the real reason you can scale a portfolio. Like anyone earning $500,000 a year that does
is in such a
average
better position, yeah.
Exactly. And it's just got. I'm not saying you have to earn $500,000 a year, but it's even the incremental changes. It's when I took what I was doing at work, applying more of it, and just going, how do I get better at this? How can I become more valuable as an individual so I can earn more money? And then all of a sudden went from like, I think it was 40 grand a year to like 65 or something, and then it was like 65 to 90. And each time, this wasn't like massive amounts of money, but it was enough to completely open up the doors on a different level of investing.
I think a big part of that as well is your serviceability calculators with the banks.
100%, yeah.
The banks, soon as you go to the banks that you're a couple with 2 kids,
Yep.
they go, your minimum living expenses is X.
Yeah, here's your hammer.
And that X might be 60 grand a year, 70 grand a year, 80 grand a year. And they won't actually let you borrow anything because they say that you're living on that threshold.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that extra 20 grand is suddenly $400 a week of serviceability, which then might let you borrow 400, 500, 600,000, depending on where interest rates are, depending on the banks. Mm-hmm. But that extra incremental little bit of income just drastically opens the door. So I think that's a really valid point. And say you're someone on a salary job that, you know, you're stuck earning 70 grand and there isn't that many options to increase your income. Do you have any sort of suggestions maybe around that, what people could do?
Yes, there's always things that you could be doing. Like my sister, I wish she still did it because she was so wonderful at it. She started making little purses just because she enjoyed sewing.
Yeah.
And it turned from a few friends bought it and she made $50 one day to all of a sudden she made a few $100s a week to then she was making like an extra 20 grand a year. And it's just, it all started out of like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then some people liked it. And I think if you can just find something that you enjoy doing, because that's going to be one of the number one things as well. If you absolutely hate it, you're probably not going to want to do it. But there's normally something that we're all kind of good at, that we like, that we can potentially monetize. Or you can take the more sort of like boring route. You can jump in an Uber if you really want to. My dad was a taxi driver on Friday night and Saturday night for 18 years. He wasn't actually an investor. He bought, I think he was in his 50s until he actually bought an investment property and went, hey, this property thing might be a good idea.
This could be a goer. New concept.
But the fact that he just had that work ethic, because for him, he watched his dad, which was my pop, lose everything in his 50s. And go, I don't ever want that to happen. So his goal was pay off the house. But he did it just by working extra jobs. It's like we said, it's the unglamorous side of it. But it works.
Makes so much sense. And I think the other big consideration in here is it doesn't have to be for 18 years. It doesn't have to be for 20 years. We've built our portfolio up over 5 years to a point that things are looking pretty comfortable. Like we're in a pretty good spot. And that didn't come from luck. That come from taking action, like our first point was, and from working hard, working those extra hours, earning that extra income to increase our serviceability. That's now put us in a really comfortable spot, and that was in a 5-year period. I think it can be done quicker than 5 years.
Because what would you say you'd be doing hours-wise as an agent?
As an agent, we're probably working around sort of 40 to 50 hours most weeks. But when we were in there hustling and really trying to push our income up, we're doing 70, 80-hour weeks. So, there was that, and that being a real estate agent was a great job because you could work more hours, work harder, work smarter, and make more money. But I think if you are that person in that salary job, taking that second job, being that Uber driver, having that second sort of income stream, if you just do it for 2, 3, 4 years to push up that serviceability, to save those deposits, very quickly things start changing and your lifestyle can drastically change.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So moving on, number 3.
Number 3, I mean, I've actually just changed it.
Okay,
I think it really is mindset. Because I don't think I've met one property investor that's really successful that is a mopey, negative muppet. Like, every single one of them is thankful for where they are. They've got gratitude for all the good things in their life. That they've got a real positive mindset, but they're also very goal-orientated. It's like, here I am, where I am now. Where do I want to be? But that mindset is also like a part of that is the self-awareness side. Being honest enough with yourself to go, actually, I'm not good at that, or I'm really good at that. This is where I should be spending more of my time. It took me ages to do it because I think we do it. And I remember getting told, I've never actually done this, but I got told by a guy when I worked in the mines when I was younger. He's a strange man. And he said, the best thing you can do, Todd, lock yourself in a room for a week and don't talk to anyone. I was like, okay, why would I do that? And he's like, because you get to know yourself better than you ever thought possible. Again, I didn't actually do it. There's a part of me that...
It seemed like a great concept. Really, you guys should do it. I didn't personally do it.
Let me know how it goes. No, but I didn't do it, but the thing that I took from it, though, was about the importance of getting to know yourself. And I'm still kind of curious, too, to it.
Maybe it was Matthew O'Connor that talked about doing something very similar, just that retreat to get to know yourself. But I think what you're saying, like the mindset stuff, is so true. I think you have to be optimistic that what you're doing is the right thing to do. Throwing 50 or 60 or 70 or 100 grand, 200 grand into an investment, you're really doing that with that delayed gratitude. You're really, you're not going out and buying that jet ski or that fancy car. You're going, if I do this move today, you're having that self-confidence that that's actually going to pay dividends and return, a lifestyle bonus into the future.
Because that's the big thing with it. That until recently, like I'm fortunate enough that the portfolio got to a stage where I could actually leave my job as a sales agent and now work in the podcast full time. But before that, and that was literally 2 months ago, my life was actually no different. Whether it was a $200,000 portfolio, $3 million portfolio, or $10 million, it was the same. But like you said, it's the delayed gratification side of it as well. Like eventually, it does actually lead you to somewhere that you're like, holy crap, this is real now.
And I think part of that's probably knowing that it's possible in a certain time period. Like, I don't know, how long ago did you buy your first investment?
Well, technically, the first was many moons ago.
Okay, yep.
But
When did you get serious?
2017.
2017, so that's 5 years. 5 years. Very similar track record to me. 5 years ago. And same thing, 5 years, I'd say that we probably had a negative lifestyle just because we were pumping so much cash into our investments. Mm-hmm. But as of now, where we've sort of reached a stage where serviceability has become a bit of an issue, but we're at a stage where we're quite comfortable with the portfolio we've got, our lifestyle increase and the options open to us has just drastically changed. So I think knowing that it's not an 18-year commitment helps with that sort of mindset, knowing that, you know, if I do this for this period of time, I really can open doors in really a short period of time. Like, people work for 40, 50 years.
Yeah. This is something that I actually want to open up a little bit more with something that we're doing within Pizza and Property, but actually treating property investing like a degree, and not so much as saying like, hey, this is property uni, that kind of thing. But people are so willing to sacrifice anywhere between usually 3 and 8 years of their life to go to university, a huge HECS debt. And like, I've got a friend that's a surgeon and wonderful, so intelligent, like all the rest of it. But it's like, that is so commendable. But then there's so many people out there that for some reason aren't willing to do the same kind of sacrifice and eat the megarang for a few years to do it with property investing. When it can sometimes lead you to somewhere even better than being a lawyer or a doctor 100%. Or whatever.
And I think that's where, you know, sitting down and doing the forecast, you know, if I aim to buy 3 or 4 or 5 properties or whatever that looks like over a 5-year period, what's the financial end goal in 5 years, and what does that actually look like? Because I think a lot of times, like, even when we started working it out, we worked it off quite conservative figures, and the results at the end of the 5 years are well beyond where my expectations ever would have been. And I think that's, working off those conservative figures, but still, like, the amount of upside there is humongous.
Huge. Yeah, and like you said, this is just the first double.
So
we're not even at the second double.
Yeah, correct. The first double's incredible. We bought a property, I mentioned it to you earlier, that we essentially paid $350,000 for 2 out of 4 units. When we bought that, they were well and truly below market rent. The rents on them now work out to be about a 15% gross yield, which is nuts. They're returning, so that $350,000 is returning a 40 grand gross, which by the time you take our outgoings, it's still about 20 grand of cash flow a year on, you know, 350,000, which
that's massive.
It's massive, and we wouldn't have forecasted that in. Like, it just that was the top end of the forecast. It didn't really seem like it was possible, but it played out that way. But without taking that gamble, having the right mindset, having the right income to make that happen, all 3 of the things you've spoken about, we wouldn't have now been in the position to have that passive cash flow.
Yeah, and I think a good little test, if you're thinking, is this real? Does it really matter? Go and try and find yourself an investor that's super successful, that has a horrible mindset, that doesn't earn much money. What was the other one? I've forgotten now.
Just do it.
It doesn't take action.
And I think that's a great point to finish up on. Like, if you are looking at getting into the investment game, if you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 properties, and you're wondering what the next step is, I think it's considering those things. Is it, you know, what do I need to do to take action? What ducks do I need to set up in a row? Is my income sufficient? Or if I do want to buy that one other property, what do I need to do to get my income to a level where the bank will lend to me? And then thirdly, having that positive mindset, you know, doing your calculations, giving yourself the confidence that this is the right path of action. This will, you know, work out in my favor.
Love it.
So there we have it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure you absolutely subscribe to our channel. We love bringing out heaps of new content here, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Bye.